Today's guest is an Afro-Futurist writer who's telling us all about her debut book, Speculation. Nisi Shawl is shining a light on Black history and Black representation while doing it with a science fiction twist. This is Advocate Now. Well, Nisi, you recently released your debut novel for middle school grade readers called Speculation. It's about a young girl with magical glasses that allow her to travel through time. But more importantly, it's a way to bring history to young readers, particularly family history and slavery. Was that your motivation in writing it?
My motivation was to show my family in my family history in all its glory. So yeah, that does include the stuff with slavery, sure, but it was broader than that.
And in addressing topics such as slavery and family curses and the way in which African Americans and their families have been impacted by such things, did you draw upon your own personal experiences, your family, or outsiders as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mostly my own family, because this is a very family-centric book. But I think that by focusing on the particulars, I got to the universal there too, right? So there were members of my family who passed, members who were enslaved, members who were white, as far as I know.
You're referred to as an Afro-Futurist, and that's a genre that centers around Black history and culture and incorporates science fiction technology and futuristic elements into literature, music, and the arts. What first drew you to that genre?
So it was pretty much inevitable, because I've always been drawn to stories of the future, of the possibility of change, of course, technology, but magic as well, as ways of changing how things turn out. And most of my genetic descent is from African sources. So you put the two together and there you go.
Well, back in 1997, you co-founded the Carl Brandon Society to help give people of color greater visibility in the science fiction and fantasy worlds. Now, 26 years later, how much progress would you say has been made in terms of that visibility?
Oh, it's been an enormous progress that I've seen. I actually spent one afternoon practically crying in a library at Princeton, because there was so much richness. There were so many people representing the different aspects and the different ways of looking at African American, Asian American, Native American contributions to this field. I'm happy about that.
And as part of that, I mean, you also have co-created a series of writing workshops that have taught thousands of writers new ways of thinking about diversity and representation within fiction. Are you seeing some of that work come to fruition in current literature?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's still controversial. There are still people who will say you can't do this or that. And I'm advocating for people at least trying to include people who are different than them, different races, different genders, different abilities in their work.
In working with writers and teaching these workshops, is there ever any concern on their part about the right and wrong ways to represent a certain culture or become more inclusive? I mean, how do you address that?
Oh, it's constant. It's constant. The concern about taking something out of context or focusing on the wrong aspect or totally missing what something has to do with necessity. Yeah, it's always there. It depends on how that goes. Depends on what they're asking about in the first place. But I generally try to make sure that people are focusing not on what's going to happen to them if they get it wrong, but what the consequences for others that they're trying to represent could be if they make an error.
And you've been publishing fiction since the late 80s. I mean, you've won multiple awards since then. Looking back on your writing and your career as a whole, would you say that your writing style or your approach to writing has changed?
Uh, that is a hard one, because I'm a little close to myself to understand what has changed about my writing. I certainly have gotten more familiar with what I'm trying to do and ways that I can do it, but I keep experimenting. So I haven't lost that edge, that you have when you're trying something new. I'm always trying something new.
What do you envision the future of literature to look like in terms of representation, and not just for the Black community, but for the LGBTQ plus community and beyond?
Well, we are in such a contested time right now. I see it as becoming more democratized. I see it as becoming multiply sourced. There are more publishers. There are small presses. There are more agents, and there are more people open to the sort of thing that would have been rejected as too niche, a story about queer uh polyamorous space schools. Something like that can happen easily now, I think. And with crowdfunding, it can get out there and get people's attention.
And with your most recent novel, Speculation, why did you want to gear it toward the middle school level?
I just wanted to reach the people who were hungry for representation at that age, as I remember very well being. I wanted to get to the people who had, I guess, skin in the game. They were there, and they needed to know that others like them were there.
So where do you have your sights set next? What is your next project that you're working on?
Well, I just turned in revisions on my sequel to Everfair, which was my first adult novel. And in that one, people are being subjected to an empathy generating fungus. There's all kinds of stuff, all sorts of shenanigans going on with community, with love, and with exploration.
Well, Nisi, congrats on the release of Speculation, and good luck with your upcoming projects. We thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm Sonia Baghdadi. Thanks for watching and advocating. For more stories and content like this, visit advocate.com and advocatechannel.com. On tomorrow's episode, Dr. Jennifer Freed is diving even deeper into the magic behind pairing psychology with astrology. And for people who are just starting on this path and they want to better their life in all aspects, or as many aspects as possible, I mean, what advice would you have for them in terms of getting started with this modality that you use?
Well, my first book, Use Your Planets Wisely, is the perfect book for a beginner because it takes you through your own chart, which you can get for free on many, many sites, takes you through your chart for profound self-understanding. So it's a primer, you go step by step. And I think that's the most helpful way, is you do your own work, don't have someone tell you. Intuition is basically heightened attention. The world is always giving us signs and symbols. We are living in an animated universe. We are part of that universe. So if you're paying exquisite attention, you will constantly be given signals of affirmation about what you're experiencing, perceiving, and what you need to do.
The Advocate Channel is here to be a voice for underserved and underrepresented LGBTQ+ and BIPOC communities. Join the conversation. Subscribe on YouTube and Facebook. Download our Roku and Fire TV app. Take us with you. Get the Advocate Channel app on your Apple or Android device. Thanks for watching. I'm Sonia Baghdadi. There's more Advocate Channel after the break.